Hello everyone, welcome to this video where I'll be talking about this album, Please. So this right here is Pet Shop Boys' debut album, Please, from 1986, and it turned 40 this week on March 24th, so happy birthday, and that's why I'm talking about it today. I actually filmed this video yesterday, but halfway through filming it got dark, and also looking back at the video that I got, I was not making any sense. I was just rambling, so let's try again. So I will be going through this album kind of like track by track and giving my thoughts on the songs and opening the meanings behind them as much as I can, and also telling the meanings of songs is really difficult because you can interpret them in your own way and you have the freedom to do that, so I'm just giving out my own thoughts. But about this album cover, it is just white and there's only this one stamp-sized small picture in the middle of the duo, and then it reads Pet Shop Boys, Please under it in very tiny lettering. I really like this album cover. There is this sense of coldness and mystery, this lack of intimacy here, and I actually read a great essay about how the boys use this kind of lack of extravagant visuals in their advantage. So the essay is called Pet Shop Boys Holding the Body at a Distance by Andrew Groves, and it's kind of about how Pet Shop Boys are able to remain in the visible eye in the public without giving too much, without being fully available to everyone. And I really recommend reading this. It gives great insights into their world of visuals and their work with Mark Farrow. So do check that out, please. It was a great read. Okay, so Neil Tennant and Chris Lowe met in 1981, and after that they made some music, wrote some songs, produced some demos with Bobby Orlando, aka Bobby O, but there were some creative differences there, so the Bobby Orlando mixes did not make it onto the debut album, and it was actually produced by Stephen Hague. And this is not my favorite Pet Shop Boys album. I don't think it's the best Pet Shop Boys album, and I do think that's very good because it's their first album. I don't think your first attempt at something should be your magnum opus. It shouldn't be your best work because then it's just downhill from there. But I do really adore this project. It captures the sound of the time very well without feeling outdated. Songs like Western Girls hold so well because there's this sort of ambiguity in the lyrics, and obviously it's a very good song, so that too, but it's kind of like anyone can take the lyrics in whatever way they wish and make it their own. And even the more obvious messages on this album about like love and sex and relationships, they still work in the 21st century because love never goes out of fashion. Alongside that, the boys' ambivalent style of describing and presenting gender norms in these songs resonates even 40 years later. I mean, obviously, if you were writing about queerness and queer relationships, you had to be kind of like careful with what you were writing and what you were saying. So they were not writing these songs about love and relationships mysteriously just because they wanted to. I think there was obviously the kind of like need to do that as well. But now let's move on to the actual songs. Two Divided by Zero starts the album with this kind of like smacking instrumentation that just hits you straight in the face. First up, we hear a robotic voice repeating the words 2 divided by 0, and only after that does Neil come in with his own actual voice, and in a way he invites the listener on a journey. Of course, this song as a standalone piece of music is about running away and going away, but it also works in the narrative of this album. So it's not like the song is only about going away, but it also works in the context of this being the first song in the album. It is as if the listener is being invited on the first real Pet Shop Boys experience. So come along for the next 42 minutes or so and enjoy. And Neil has stated that this song is partly about him being a teenager and dreaming about hopping onto a train to London, you know, the big city. And this track is also filled with all kinds of sound effects and noises, and this is a very common theme on this album. There is a lot of explosions and crashes and human voices and stuff, so be prepared for excessive use of sound effects on please. Personally, I've always imagined that the song title, 2 divided by 0, is in a way about two people and the fact that they cannot be separated by anything. No matter what comes their way or whatever tries to break them up, it will never work. It's impossible. Such as the number 2 being divided by 0. Nothing, null, 0 can divide two people who have this kind of like invisible string between them. They are connected by faith. Oh, okay, West End Girls. Oh my god, the second song on this album is the monster hit, West End Girls. Yeah. Oh. On this song, we are slowly brought into this city atmosphere. It's as if we've taken the train or taken the plane from the last song onto this one, and now we are in the city. The hi-hat and the sounds of the street slowly draw in the listener until the bass, and eventually, after like 50 seconds, Neil's voice comes in, rapping. And this is such an interesting song because it is so ambiguous in its lyrics, and the subject matter of the song can be like anything. To me, it's about class division, it's about identity, escapism, and the city life, and everything that comes with city life, and that's a lot. And I think these things that I mentioned are very prevalent subjects and topics all throughout the Boys' imperial phase, and even furthermore. The saxophone, the steady, strong synth pads, the funky, iconic, bouncy bass, Neil's rap, and his melodic, whiny vocals really creates one of the all-time great songs. And for anyone who wants to get more into Pet Shop Boys, the line "From Lake Geneva to the Finland Station" is a Lenin reference, and it is very important because this is the first look into the Boys' kind of like special interest in the Soviet Union and Russia. It's a motive that keeps repeating on all of their albums all throughout their career. This line, it's important, and even in the original Bobby Orlando mix, there was a Stalin name drop. Who do you think you are? Joe Stalin? So do listen to the original mix as well. I think it's very good. It can feel kind of off-putting because, you know, we are so used to this version that we just know and love. If you have a favorite artist or an artist that you find interesting, it is so fun to go look for the demos and original mixes and scrapped projects and unreleased songs. It is so much fun. Look into this thing called genetic editing. It is so fascinating. Okay, so there's like just so much going on with this song. There are even theories that the questions in the song, if, when, why, what, how much have you got it, and so on and so on, that they are about drug dealing. And I do not believe that that is a much of a stretch. I mean, we're in the big city now. Drug dealing? Very possible. Anything can happen in London. we are dealing with youth, sex, conflict, identity, and money, so why not drugs? And on the other hand, there are also suggestions that the same questions talk about trading, the stock market, money. And yes, this was Thatcher's England we are talking about. I'll say that the second album actually deals maybe more with Thatcherism and the horrors of the 1980s English conservatism, but you cannot count that socio-political aspect out at all. Pet Shop Boys have so many songs with double meanings or even more meanings than two, so it would not be surprising that this song would be about Thatcherism as well. And lastly, about West End Girls. This is not a short song. It is almost 5 minutes, and it's good because they let the song fade out, and towards the end they bring more and more sounds of the street in, and it just works. The catchy bass line repeats as the song fades out, and it just sticks in your head and you want to listen to it again and again and again. Okay, opportunities. Let's make lots of money. I already mentioned Margaret Thatcher with West End Girls, but this song is the main Thatcher-Reagan song on this album. About the instrumentation, this track brings back the kind of very busy, even DIY sounding percussion of 2 divided by 0, and we are really coming back to that antagonistic feeling of the opening track. And I mean, no wonder it sounds evil and ominous. We are talking about money and the kind of greed is good mindset here. Opportunities is a very satirical take on that harsh, cold English conservatism of the 80s. The poor have only themselves to blame and do not deserve any help, and tough love were core ideas of Thatcherism, and the boys make that ideology into a joke, but not an untasteful one in my opinion. The second version of this song's music video is in a way one of the worst things that I have ever seen. It is bad, but at the same time it encaptures the idea of the song very well. This video just visualizes the wealth gap and shows Neil as this ivory tower weirdo while Chris is playing a working class bricklayer. The video is very experimental with its green screen usage, and it doesn't seem to have a very high budget, and that makes it bad, yes, but it works in favor of the message. Even if you are part of the wealthy and you dress elaborately, you'll still look cheap because you are ugly on the inside, and that will reflect on the outside. Oh, Love Comes Quickly. I love this song. It is so good. And it would have been so easy to just make this a piano ballad, but they didn't do that. Love Comes Quickly is a easily forward rolling song with a sort of like a haunting atmosphere. Even though the message is very hopeful, it still is kind of scary and creepy, and I think that's kind of awesome. The lyrics address the listener very straightforwardly, and even in a way warn the listener that love will get to you, so be careful. Love is coming your way. Yeah, the message is great, because kind of like whatever you do, however you treat yourself, however others treat you, love will come to you, and it will come surprisingly. But the narrator of the song is at the same time very self-aware, which makes this fun. Neil sings, "I know it sounds ridiculous, but speaking from experience." If you are listening to that song, the message might sound ridiculous, but this is very serious. Love is very serious. I think this song is so timeless and just works year after year. Like I said in the beginning of the video, love never goes out of fashion. And no wonder Neil and Chris regard Love Comes Quickly as one of their favorite songs from their discography. Because it's just so good. Love comes quickly, whatever you do, you can't stop falling. Ooh, ooh. Okay, Suburbia. Ooh. So Suburbia starts with this kind of like creepy atmosphere, and then it changes into this cheerful, jolly tune until the verse starts, and then we're back into the scary sound. You know, in the start we kind of get a warning, and then we get a fun, happy tune with the bells, you know, dun 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 dun, you know that one. And then when Neil starts singing, we're back into that cautious, anxious feeling of the song. And when we go into the chorus, the playful, sunny side of the song comes out once again. And then it kind of switches between these atmospheres. And I imagine that this song is kind of like experiencing day and night in the suburbs. There is this familiar and safe feeling during the daytime, but as the night falls, something ominous and chaotic unfolds. And this track is also filled with all kinds of sound effects. Crashes, dogs barking, explosions, you know, all sorts of pandemonium. You know, even though we are in the neighborhood, there lurks the possibility of unrest, which kind of unfolds as the song goes on. It gets more and more chaotic toward the end. The neighborhood transforms from this safe haven of families into something more of a city center. Oh. Okay, Opportunities Reprise. This is just an interlude of sorts. It's filled with excitement and human sounds and excitement again. And it's a nice way to bring the listener into the second part of the album. You know, this is where you turn the record. It's like 30 seconds. What can I say? Okay, Tonight is Forever. What have I written in my notes? I'm going to read from here. Busy bass line and brass section color the journey of a desperate lover who wants their possible partner to stay with them and fall in love with them. Yeah, so there is this sense of unrequited affection and wish to escape the world. Okay, again, escapism, like in the first song and in Western Girls. And to me, the lyrics seem a little bit sad and pathetic until the line, "But I don't give up any night," comes in. And then I feel like it's starting to get a little bit like obsessive and demanding in a way that, I don't know, I feel like this song, as it goes on, to me, it feels like it's getting more and more stalkerish. But yeah, Tonight is Forever feels very anthemic. I'd say a lot of Pet Shop Boys' music could be described as anthemic. Violence is much more chill sonically compared to the other tracks on this album, but the subject matter is not chill. It's about, you guessed it, violence. So I kind of like that there is this contrast of the topic and the actual musical side. And even though the lyrics are a lot of repetition, I think they are very, very good. And this song has some of my favorite lyrics on the album. The song starts with the lines, "The sons and brothers fighting for another cause, anything to give their life some meaning." I love that. Starting the song out with the words "the sons and brothers" really make the subject real and emphasize the fact that these people engaging in violence, they are real people and they are something to someone. They are sons and they are brothers. And it makes the song feel much more serious in a way. I don't know if I have anything else to say about this. No, not right now. Okay, I Want a Lover. This song is so exciting. The chorus's chord progression is like A minor, D minor, E major, A minor, D minor, E major, and it just repeats and is on this crazy cycle, just gearing up more and more. And obviously the sound effects are here again. Some car sounds, some explosions, or I don't know, crashes. The stabbing brass instruments and the fast pace of the song just create more and more excitement. The narrator really, really, really wants a lover, and there is this incredible pressure and heat in this song, and it kind of hypnotizes the listener. I don't know, I get very hyped to this song. I get lost in the sauce, in the song. And in the lyrics, the demanding tone is here again. The narrator claims they don't care whether it's wrong or right, they just want a lover. And this song feels very hot, temperature-wise. It's heat and sweat and fast pace, and then it just kind of ends. And when I listen to this song, I feel like the temperature drops dramatically when the song ends. But it does make sense because the next song feels freezing. You wait till later. Okay, Later Tonight is a piano synth ballad. A short song, very chill, very quiet, but very good. This is the ballad of the album, and that is very rare that there is a ballad on a Pet Shop Boys album, because that is not very common at all. They don't do this type of music, really. So this is a very unique song in their discography. But the narrator talks about a teenager who is in school and who is in love with someone who doesn't seem to notice them. And the lyrics state that you wait till later tonight because tonight always comes. And I just believe that this is about going to sleep and being able to be with the one you love in your dreams. So that's why you wait till later tonight. And every day you just wait for the night so you can go to sleep and dream of your crush. This song gives you breathing space because the other songs on this album are quite busy. And this is also very nice to play on the piano. So do try that out. It's not difficult. Okay, the final song on the album, Why Don't We Live Together? And this is very fascinating. There seems to be this complicated love relationship going on, and kind of neither of the people in the relationship seem to be really sure about their feelings for each other. But the narrator seems to be convinced that if they were to live together, then there would be more certainty in their relationship. It would be more stable, but who knows? There's implied cheating on this song and all kinds of uncertainty. It feels like I'm watching someone's relationship drama unfold on TikTok. The sort of demanding rhetoric of the few other songs on this album is here again. And out of all of the songs on this album, I think Why Don't We Live Together sounds most stereotypically 80s. There are these bright bell synths, a bit of harmonica, and some short guitar things going on, which really just make it very 80s, you know. It fades out and then the album is over. And I have to say that out of all of the songs on this album, I think Why Don't We Live Together has been my least listened to song on Please. Did that sentence make any sense? I don't know, but I hope you understand. So that is the album. That's all of the songs. I don't know if I have anything else to say about this. Maybe what's my favorite song on here? Okay, my favorite songs on Please are Later Tonight, I Want a Lover, Love Comes Quickly, and West End Girls. Yeah, right now those 4 are my favorites. Not in any particular order. Chronologically, Please is their first album, but it is also the spot where it makes most sense for you to start with if you wanted to get into their music. And when you start with Please and then go on to Actually, then Introspective, Behavior, and so on, you can really hear the evolution and the development in their sound, and you can hear the narrative there. And I think that's one of the most interesting things in their music, is that you can see how their sound changes and evolves throughout the years. You can hear kind of like in Introspective that they wanted to try something more experimental and do something different. And Introspective, their 3rd studio album, is kind of like Lady Gaga's 3rd studio album, Art Pop. It is more experimental and it branches out more wider. There are so many connections that I can make between Lady Gaga and the Pet Shop Boys. I could talk about this forever, but I am not going to talk about it now. And I'm just going to say this. Pop music will never be low-brow. This is the essential connection between Gaga and Pet Shop Boys. Maybe I will talk about that someday, but not today, because this was about Please, and happy birthday, happy 40 years. Thank you for watching. I don't have anything else to say right now. Thank you, goodbye, see you someday. Derp.